Hey guys, alright, we are back with a little bit more of History Matters. This time, yet another short animated documentary. This one on why didn't Mao conquer Taiwan? As we see here, it's gonna be dope. Now, of course, since this is a video about China, I feel like it is only mandatory to remind you all that the current Chinese Communist Party, the current Chinese government, is indeed holding Muslims in concentration camps, forcibly forcing them into sterilization, killing them, beating them, forcing them to give up their religion, possibly. I think that's one of the things that's happening there too. I mean, it would make sense. And yeah, just thought I'd remind you all. No, and then there's those events on the day of, in the year of 1989, something happened in the square with students protesting. Huh. Yeah, so just a reminder, I want you guys to go out there and tell someone that you know that the Chinese government is still holding Muslims in concentration camps and still putting them under sterilization programs. Anyways, let's go ahead and learn why Mao didn't want to conquer Taiwan.
In 1949, Mao Zedong proclaimed the creation of the People's Republic of China. Whilst he was doing this, the Chinese Civil War was still raging on, with the Kuomintang opposition fleeing to the island of Taiwan. And by 1951, all of mainland China and the island of Hainan was under the control of the Chinese Communist Party. Which raises the obvious question, why didn't Mao conquer Taiwan? Well, the first reason was that Mao still needed to consolidate the Communist Party's hold on mainland China. Now, the Communist Armed Forces, the People's Liberation Army, was about 3 times the size of the Kuomintang military, but numbers aren't everything. The PLA had a minuscule air force, whereas the Kuomintang had a modern one made up of mostly American fighters and bombers. Also, the PLA didn't have a navy, whereas the overwhelming majority of China's old ships had been taken to Taiwan. Mao stationed troops...
I did not know that. That is interesting. But obviously that's not how it is today.
Along the coastline and prepared for an invasion of the remaining Kuomintang positions, the closest of which were the Quemoy Islands. When the go-ahead was given, the invasion was, to put it mildly, a disaster. This setback wasn't enough to deter Mao though, and he ordered plans for the final conquest of Taiwan to be drafted. The plan was to buy as many transportation vessels as possible and simply overwhelm the island with sheer numbers. This plan was scrapped because frankly it was a stupid one, and also Mao was concerned that the USA would intervene if he invaded. Which he was right about, because the United States placed its fleet between China and Taiwan and made it clear to Mao that any invasion would also mean war with them. However, by this point Mao had another issue to...
I did not know that. I didn't know the United States Truman went that fucking aggressive over Taiwan. Damn.
To deal with, since the Korean War had just begun next door. This saw direct fighting between Chinese and American forces, and importantly, saw US President Harry Truman commit to defend non-communist regimes in the area, including Chiang Kai-shek's Kuomintang government in Taiwan. In 1953, a ceasefire ended the fighting on the Korean peninsula, and so Mao could turn his attention back to Taiwan. And boy did he, because the next year he ordered the shelling of the Quemoy Islands, to which the Taiwanese government responded tit for tat. Things began to escalate, and President Truman did 3 things. First of all, he sent reinforcements to Taiwan. Second, he and Congress passed legislation committing the US to defend Taiwan in the event of invasion. And third, he threatened to nuke China. This...
Jesus Christ, Truman. Dude wasn't fucking around. Damn.
Worked, and Mao, somewhat opposed to being nuked, ordered his forces to desist.
Somewhat
and this threat
opposed.
convinced Mao of one thing, that China needed its own nuclear weapons if it was ever going to stand up to the United States or ever hope to assert itself over Taiwan. However, before these nuclear weapons were finished, Mao ordered the shelling of the islands again, because at this point, why not, it was something to do, I guess. This time the air forces got involved and hundreds of people died, and President Eisenhower threatened to invade the mainland if things didn't calm down, which they promptly did. Now, this was the last time that China attempted to forcibly capture territory from Chiang Kai-shek. When Mao died in 1976, his successor preferred a policy of peaceful reunification. In the end, Mao didn't conquer Taiwan for one very simple reason. He couldn't. The US Navy sat between China and Taiwan, and it was by far the most powerful in the world. And when Mao tried to use force and nuclear retaliation by the United States was an ever-present threat. Not to mention that any attempt by Mao to take the island would have been costly in lives and money, which, given the fact he was trying to build a revolutionary government, was something that he needed more than Taiwan. I hope you enjoyed.
You know what? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Taiwan is a very defensible island. It's like the way it's just designed, not really designed because it's a natural island, but just the way that they have set up their defenses. I think I watched a video on it one time, maybe not as a reaction, but I think I've watched it on my own before. There was some video about Taiwan and how it's kind of like damn near impossible to invade because of the defenses the Taiwanese government has set up. But yeah, you know what? So why didn't Mao conquer Taiwan? Well, the United States. The United States told him no. Because I think he certainly would have invaded if the United States wasn't there. I don't think he would have cared about the loss of lives. I mean, he put in a program for the hunting of some bird, and then he caused a famine that killed like 50 million Chinese. So I don't think he really cared about loss of life. Yeah. Anyways, as a final note for the video, remember guys, the Chinese government is putting Muslim citizens in concentration camps, sterilizing them, euthanizing them, and killing them, and beating them. Make sure you spread that information around. And that will be all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.